Welcome to another episode of Swine Versation, Sustainability with Lain from Iowa Select Farms. Welcome, Erica.
Good morning. Thank you for having me today.
I know you're the Sustainability Manager at Iowa Select. Can you just give me a brief background of that?
Yeah, so I actually started my career here at Iowa Select Farms 5 years ago as the Gilt Selector in our Southern Iowa region. And so I started as Gilt Selecting, transitioned into some supervising of some sites. And then I actually went into a new role as the Nutrient Service Manager in Southern Iowa. So I helped coordinate manure application and oversaw all of our manure management plans in this area. And then last year, I had the opportunity to start our sustainability platform, and it's been really exciting for this past year. And my background and the knowledge that I've gained through my previous roles here at Iowa Select has really set me up for great success as I continue this platform forward.
So we got a couple questions. Where did your love for the pork industry start? And then I know you've touched a little bit on your diverse background. Can you please dive into that a little bit deeper and your steps to achieve current leadership?
Yeah, so I actually grew up on a cow-calf and row crop operation in eastern Iowa, Makokata, just between Dubuque and Davenport. And then I went to Iowa State University and I studied animal science. And so prior to coming to Iowa State, I had no pig experience whatsoever. And so I started taking some swine classes for general requirements for my major and had a great professor off the bat. He was a great mentor towards me, allowed me to go study abroad to China and Japan to understand more about pork production and really fell in love with it and the people that worked in the industry. And then I had an opportunity to do some internships within the industry specific around pork processing plants. And so from there, I had the opportunity to start my career, my full-time career in the industry. And ever since then, I've only gained to love it more and more every day. I love the industry truly because of the unique opportunities that it presents itself to. So I never in a million years thought I would be sitting here today talking to you about sustainability, but the path that I've been on has led me to this position. And there's a lot of opportunities out there for young leaderships to come into the swine industry and start their career.
So you're here to stay then?
I hope so. Yes, I think it's a great industry, and we talk about how big Iowa Select is here in Iowa, as we produce over 5 million pigs on an annual basis. But I hear at Iowa Select, it's a really family oriented culture, and I think that's true too in the whole industry. I think making connections and continuing to network, throughout different conferences and what we do day to day, it's second to none.
So why do you think sustainability is important?
So Iowa Select is celebrating 30 years of being in production this year, and it's a great opportunity and time to start our sustainability platform as we've been able to look back on how we've evolved to customer consumer demands and identified new ways to become more efficient in our processes to make sure that we're here today. And so sustainability to Iowa Select really isn't a new concept, and it's not a new concept to the pork industry, but it's new on how we're able to quantify it and actually report on it.
Do you have an Lain sustainability theory per se?
So here at Iowa Select, we talk about our 4 core values that we live and work by every day. And so that's taking care of our people, the animals, the environment, and the communities that we live and work in. And so that's how we've really established the foundation around our sustainability report and our initiatives that we've put forth. But we have a large interest and a large focus on understanding the impact hog manure has on soil health, therefore protecting water quality. How can we continue those efforts moving forward? Understanding our greenhouse gas emissions on the pork that we produce, And like I mentioned before, understanding new ways that we can improve our efficiencies throughout our business.
So how has sustainability changed from 10 years ago, and where do you see it evolving to over the next 10?
So as I started in this role, I wasn't really sure how to kickstart it and what was the best foot forward here for Iowa Select, since there's so much that goes on behind the word sustainability. And there's a lot of corporations out there that have had responsibility and sustainability reports for years. And so identifying those and reading through those helped me understand and gain some more insight on directions for Iowa Select. And so sustainability really isn't a new concept, for those operations or for the pork industry, as we continue to just make more with less, right? And so becoming more efficient. But as I see, as we move forward for the next 10 years, I think it's important to identify what we're already doing and how do we already report on that. And so looking at our retention rate, right? Or doing those production well-being assessments. How do we take that information that we're already doing, report on it and quantify it to tell our customers and to our consumers, right? But also identifying new ways and opportunities that we can push this forward. So, like I mentioned, we're really looking at water quality and how can we impact the farmers that we work with? How can we give them the resources to identify new conservation practices that they can use on their farm to improve, their soil health, right? To be more profitable on that end, but also having a positive impact on our environment.
So some people might hear the word sustainability and they're not sure what that is. What's the easy explanation of that?
So here at Iowa Select, we really define it as our business plan. And so how do we drive our business forward for the next 30 years? How do we ensure that we're going to be here for the next 30 years and become that supplier of choice for our customers and for the consumers?
So do you think that any type of organization, however small or large you are, this should be a focus and it might be underrated, or?
Yeah, I think any company has a great opportunity now than ever, really, to start this. When we started this, we didn't start any new initiatives when we first put out our first ever Select Care commitment report. It was really just putting together information of what we're already doing and making commitments on how we're going to drive forward, right? And so we talk about our retention rate, we talk about our overall demographics, we talk about our internal assessments. How do we improve the livability of our animals? How do we take credit for that manure management plan, but also having continuous improvement with conservation practices and protecting water quality?
So you've touched on a lot of sustainability topics. Any final thoughts on how it applies to Iowa Select?
Yeah, so one initiative that we actually just wrapped up talking about, and we'll be releasing more information on our Facebook page and our LinkedIn page. We had the opportunity to use a third-party company called Sustainable Environmental Consultants. And the National Pork Board actually provided us with this OnFarm sustainability report project. And so we wanted to look at a specific targeted watershed in the state of Iowa called the Raccoon River Watershed, which is located in the northwest corner of the state that supplies all the water to the Des Moines Metro. And this area has had increased visibility over the last few years around the water quality. And so we wanted to truly quantify the impact hog manure has on our soil erosion rate and overall water quality in that area. And so we actually just got done with this project, and we were able to collect over 14,000 acres worth of agronomic data to truly tell this story with more environmental outcomes. And so the only requirement farmers needed to enroll in this project was they had to receive manure from Iowa Select. And over those 14,000 acres, 46% of them used hog manure in 2021 due to cropping rotations. But only 2% used cover crops, and 5% used no-till, and 43% used reduced tillage. And from these practices that we've identified on these fields, we had a 9 times less soil erosion rate based on the Iowa average. And so we truly know that hog manure really has an impact on soil health, therefore improving water holding capacity, keeping soil where it is, and reducing the runoff going to streams. And that's really great. And we love that story. And now we have the data that supports that message. But how do we continue this effort moving forward? And so we're looking at partnering with the Iowa Department of Agriculture and any other partnerships that are willing to help us influence this practice moving forward. But we want to start projects in these areas to implement more edge of field practices such as saturated buffers and bioreactors to continue these efforts forward.
So you're just scratching the surface with some of these projects, and we could stay tuned for further details.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, we're really excited about it. We're really passionate about it, and we believe we've got a great connection with farmers to really get something implemented in the fields and on the ground.
So switching gears just a little bit, do you see a great undiscovered opportunity ahead for pig farmers?
Absolutely. I think, the sooner that you can start on your sustainability plan, the better. And a great resource to start is with those on-farm sustainability reports that the National Pork Board provides through the pork checkoff dollars to all pork producers to utilize. It's a great way to start a baseline of what's actually happening on your fields. And Sustainable Environmental Consultants gives you more data on how you can improve and more opportunities of where we need to go moving forward. And another piece that I would like to talk about is data transparency. I think that's a real opportunity for us here moving forward in the future. A lot of farmers have hog production and they also have row crops on the side. And so I think it's going to be really, really vital and important as a supply chain continues to work together to solve these goals and to move this forward is understanding that data transparency piece and how do we connect that to our supply chain, potentially start some more additional revenue for those farmers with that data that they can provide.
Now, what about a top learning moment that you've had at Iowa Select and then farming in general, since you mentioned you do live on a farm?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, I started here at Iowa Select as a Gilt Selector, transitioned into some manure management and now in sustainability. And it's really remarkable how each position that I've been in within the company has given me so much knowledge and experience to truly do my job today. And when I started as a Gilt Selector, I never thought, that I would be able to use some of those resources to where I am today. But it always connects. And I think it's always important to learn that no matter where you're at in your career, that you can always use pieces of that for the next position that you'll be in. And so, so my husband and I actually farm here in Southern Iowa. We have a row crop operation and beef cattle too, similar to how I was raised. And it's really, really fun as, there's more practices, there's more markets coming out there around conservation practices and how can we improve our soil health and how that has an impact on our environment. And it's been really fun because my husband is very forward thinking in what we do on our farm and how we employ a lot of these conservation practices, learning from him and how that overlaps with, what we're trying to release to our farming partners as well. But it's really fascinating because I think it's important to note that not all conservation practices are going to fit for each operation. So it's really important to identify what goals you have for your farming operation to know what practices to maybe use. And so it may take a few years to understand what fits for your operation, but now is the time to start as these programs start to develop. And it's probably going to be the easiest to enroll in these programs now than in the future.
I know you had a little more to talk about in relation to water quality.
Yeah, I think, so one thing that Iowa Select is just releasing now on top of our third-party sustainability analysis, and the Raccoon Watershed is our Smart Soil Partnership Program. And so this program was developed to truly organize all the work that we're doing in this space. So we talk about our manure management plans and how we responsibly apply manure. We talk about our pumper portal, which is a digital access to all of our application records for our manure customers and our manure applicators to use. We talk about our extensive 2-day applicator meeting that we provide to all of our custom applicators to ensure that they are certified each year to become an applicator. We actually just launched our first ever Select Care Environmental Award that recognizes manure customers that use our manure on their fields, but also conservation practices. And so we are really, really excited to give that award to Scott Ballvance this year, who employs rye cover crops on all of his seed corn acres. And he has drainage ditches, buffer strips, and waterways on his fields. And so that was really fun and awesome to put together for him this year. But it's also a program to promote new partnerships within the industry and within the supply chain. And so we're open to any type of relationship or partnerships that we can help these farmers employ new conservation practices on their fields.
So we got a final question here. What measures must we take to ensure growth in the pork industry between small and corporate organizations? And how do we focus on the end goal over individual corporate success? So
like I mentioned, sustainability here at Iowa Select is our business plan. And so I want to ensure, that we continue to think about that. Make sure whatever you employ in your business and in your operation to meet your sustainability goals also meets your business goals. Because ultimately, what we're putting together is ensuring that we're here for the next 30 years. And so I want to make sure that whatever you put forth within your business makes sense and that you can continue it forward for the next 10, 30, 50 years for that business. And I also think it's important to identify, what we're already doing. How do we quantify that? How do we report on that? But also look at what's important to our customers and what's important to our consumers, right? And so what are they asking for? What are they wanting to make sure that they have confidence in the product that they're eating? And so, there's a lot of information that's gathered around, nutrition, which is really great that we want to make sure that it's affordable for them to eat, but they also want to make sure that it's raised responsibly. And so how do we get to that point to give them that transparency that they're asking for? Because pork producers are already doing that. And so how do we tell our story to give them the proof points that they can gain confidence in how our product is being raised?
And you spoke at the Carthage Conference yesterday. What's the quick summary of that event?
Yeah, it was a really interesting and fun conference. I got to meet a lot of new people in the industry and a great networking event. And thank you for the Carthage team for inviting me to come speak at their conference yesterday. I was able to sit in on a breakout session on Proposition 12 and kind of the next steps in that situation and what's going on there. We also talked a lot about African swine fever and PRRS and, how do we make the steps that we need to make now to be better for tomorrow, but not try to be the best. And so I believe their whole conference theme was, how do we execute and be sustainable in a world full of noise? And so really honing in on those things that we can control on our farms to be better for tomorrow, but not try to be the best. And so what are things that we can control? Biosecurity, how we raise pork, how do we talk about it? And so it was a really, really great conference. And I'm really glad that I was a part of it and was able to be there with them.
Well, Erica Lain, thank you for joining us on Swine Versation.
Thank you so much.